I'm going to sand this. And the women I've made these for said that this being straight is real important. And they've all worked. So, well, the first ones didn't. I had this gal at work. I had her take it home, try it, let me know what needed to be changed, and then she would tell me, and that's what I did. And finish sand it. Then you'd measure it and take it to whatever size you wanted. Okay? So we're going to say probably 5 millimeters. 5.5. Close enough. We could take it down to 5 millimeters, but it's just time. Okay, so you get that to size. Now we need to work on the handle. Same old. Now you got to be careful because as this gets thinner now, it's going to start to vibrate. It's like a piano string or a harp string, violin string. Tell it both ends. It's going to start to ring. You got to be real sensitive to it. Skew is going to be the least aggressive tool. And then what I'm doing is I'm just barely holding this to cut down the noise. And as it gets thinner, of course, it's going to chatter more. And 3/8 of an inch seems to be the right thing. Spindle gouge, whatever you want to use, whatever works for you. They all cut. If you learn how to use them, you can find which way they cut the best. Okay? So I already know in my mind, when I do this stuff and I do ornaments, I know what the shape's going to be before I start. I'm not one of these to go in and cut. And I'll do this and kind of, you know, I don't have the patience for it. And I turn to give stuff away. I'm not going to give you 100 hours of my time. I'll give you an hour maybe. I'm not going to give you 100 hours. And then, like for hospice, they'll sell our ornaments for $20, $25. Not worth an hour of my time for them to sell something. I can do 4 ornaments that time. Okay, and they look good. But, and that's the other thing, the people that buy them, there'd be 100 people come by and buy an ornament, and all of them have a unique ornament to them. And that's fine. And if they want 10 of them, they're going to get 10 of them that are pretty close to the same design. Because I'm not going to sit there and do this. I'm there to turn. I'm not there to design. And I'm going to build this as I go. I'll leave that as thick as I can for as long as I can. And all you got to do is not hold it so tight that it burns your fingers. Like I used to tell students when they grind tools, if they're holding the tool and it gets hot, quench it. If you keep standing there holding it until it burns your fingers, I'm just going to assume that you're brain dead. All you got to do is let up. You let up, it'll cool down, you come back and you're okay. To do some chattering. We get away from the center, it's going to be nice again. And you want to get where you're cutting and not scraping. If you're scraping, it's going to chatter more. It wants to lift your piece up. If you're shearing it, it's going to cut those fibers away. The part won't try to climb up over what you're doing. And even in big stuff, you want to do that. And to me, speed is important. Anybody can make this stuff if you give them enough wood, and it takes 3 days and what have you. Somebody that can do it fast, to me, is a talented person. I came from a world that time was money. So learn to turn fast, I think. When my tools quit cutting, I don't use them. I got 3 half-inch spindle gouges. I got 3 5/8 bowl gouges. I got a couple of everything. When they quit cutting, I got to push them. They're being replaced. That's what I just did here. Once you get past, it's very hard to go back and redo some stuff here. Okay? It's not gonna want to cooperate. This is all pointing. I don't know how much you can see on the monitor. You get 2/3 of it done, it's all downhill from there. It becomes easier. I should have sanded this earlier. Nasty times when you gotta go back. I don't like corners that aren't defined, that chip out. There you go, thank you. Just want to give it some shape, clear up the shape some. Then go back and build some more. And I try to turn back to some of the shape that I want. Find it as I go, but I know in my head what I want to do already.
If you were doing a finish line, would you do that at this time as you're doing the sanding, or would you just do
What now?
If you were doing finishing, would you put the finish on now?
No.
Or when you're done?
When I finish. In fact, I've been using the General Woodturners finish. And I wait till I'm completely done, and I'll just put the finish on and let it sit, and I'll buff it later. That one is finished. That one was done. I put the finish on after there's like 5 or 6 coats. I won't get too crazy. Just doing this so I don't have to clean it so much. I'll give it finished shape. And generally I try to go in and take where these things meet. Define those corners real distinct. And you can use whatever. You can use a spindle gouge if you want. Down when you sand. Sometimes I do. Generally I don't. Too lazy. Okay, if you look at the tip of the hook, it's got like a bullet nose to it. So I'll create as much of it in here as I can. You can grab this a little bit and just kind of clean that up just a tad. So you don't have so much sanding to do, and I'll cut it off. You can turn them in 30 minutes and finish them. Once you do the hook, it's not so bad either. you could make money selling them because women will give 25, 30 bucks a piece for them. So I heard. I've never sold any. I really haven't. I just keep giving them away. I'm not a marketing person. Any questions? Like I say, use whatever tool works for you.
What you carve the tip with, just a good knife?
I'll show you. You can. The first one I did, I'll show you some of the first stuff that I tried. It works. But there's really slick ways to do it. There's always slick ways. People that crochet and stuff, and if I'd have had some stuff when we did the county fair up there, I would have done well. This year has been like a crazy year for me. And after January, it doesn't matter. Every day's going to be Saturday.
Roland,
February 1st.
what about knitting? What is the difference between them? I've crocheted, but I've not knitted. Are these, do you do knitting ones? Are they longer?
You can. I haven't tried them yet. I'm going to. I mean, they're long. So now you got to do this really long. And I would do it just because it's there to be done.
Right, okay.
Sometime I'll do a demonstration on long, thin stuff.
Okay.
It's a hoot. Ed knows. He's done the.
Yes.
Ed's done the long goblets.
He has.
But to do little tiny stuff that's sticking out there in space,
Yes.
it gets to be interesting. And you're using a steady rest and then a string steady. You're constantly moving this stuff down. You can get thin. I brought it here one night.
About 4 foot long.
Yeah, my tremblor. I think I have the longest one. At least I have the longest one in North Carolina. And Robust makes a lathe that will do 54 inches.
That's your retirement present?
Well, Jack Crean, I think, is going to get one.
He's looking at that Sweet 16.
Yeah, and
As much as these robust lathes cost, they ought to make them for you without you doing anything.
that's right. You should be able to just look at it and go.
That's right. I want a 4 foot long finial.
Yeah. But anyhow, I think Jack's going to get one, and when he does, I'm going to go down and test drive his for a couple of days, because it'll take a couple of days to do one. That's the longest time it took me to do anything. I think was that tremblor. It's a hoot. But yeah, you could do. I would like to try it sometime, but they have to be sized as a pair.
Right. Yeah.
I guess they get uneven. I don't know.
I don't know.
So anyhow, what I'll show you is
The hook.
how to put the hook in, and it's not complicated once you've done a couple of them. This one was not great. It would work. But this one is very, very close to what you need. You want to have it tapered a little bit this way, and if you look at the back, and I'll pass it around again so you can see, you want it to be a little smaller than the diameter, because when they hook the thread, you got to get through, hook the thread, and pull that through. That's what the hook does at first. The way I first started doing them is I had another saw. I happened to buy this one at Harbor Freight, and I would find the spot and hook that in there on the lathe and saw a notch in it. And then I took cheapy Harbor Freight knives. These are even all rusted up already. Okay. And I'd carve them and carve them and carve them and carve them. And there's a guy in the Concord Club named Walt Kiefer. He has a German machine like this. And I have a wheat shear, which is a power carver, and I've got a couple of Dremel wannabes and got a power chisel thing. Never once thought this would be the way to do it. But Walt has this $10,000, 400,000 RPM grinder from Germany. This thing is beautiful. And he said, try this. And this happened to be the same time I started doing these. And I went, holy cow, this thing's nice. But This is Master Carver, and I'm not trying to sell them. It can get you a better deal than I could ever get on a different one. But there's lots of folks that make it. I got this one because of a gal named Dixie Biggs. We did a workshop with her, and I liked it. And it takes the work out of cutting that in. And the other thing I do is I don't hand saw that anymore. I bought a little slitting saw. You just have to be careful that you don't cut your finger off. You know, it's not a big deal. But these old power, these power carvers are,
Not a big deal till you cut that sucker.
these power carvers are neat because you just click them, take the piece out.
Yes, yeah, they'll have the wrench.
Yeah, and Waltz, I can't remember what brand his is. His, you didn't even do that. You did something and snapped it in, snapped it out, and that son of a gun was neat. This is the one I just did. Shoot, after a while they all look alike. Yeah, that's it. I just go in and try to find an angle that looks right. Something that's going to hook. And find a spot that you can do it. And I'm just trying to get a groove in there that looks like crochet hooks that I've seen. That looks good. That's the worst of it. And there is any number of bits that you can use to carve this stuff. I'll pass a couple of these around. Just take this one out. These are bits that Dixie Biggs, well, these aren't actually the ones that she uses. I use the other ones, but they're in the same kit. She uses to do her flowers. But these are diamond ones. The red, and they're cheap. These are cheap, unbelievably cheap if you go to the right places. The red ones are for roughing, and the green ones are for finishing. And then these are, I forget what she called them, but these are like roughing bits that she uses to do her flowers.
Woodcraft sells us a box set of 4 different grades.
Yeah, but the high-speed steel ones in the little case, you almost have to get through NDI or something like that. Did you get any of those?
Carver Supply.
Yeah, Carver Supply, that's it. And yeah, I haven't seen anybody else that handles them.
This place out in Arizona.
I wasn't paying attention when I put it. Now what I'm going to do is carve into that
There's something important.
that notch.
There's something important.
Yeah. You just see Roland sticking up.
And these little roughers are pretty aggressive.
This has dropped them. This I have to pick them up and go down for one
I think we'll do that tomorrow, right?
So then it's just a matter of just carving away what you don't want to be there. This only happens in demos.
Of course. It's not too bad though.
Oh, it's out. I do with it. I dropped it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's on the, never mind. I left it on the cutter.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, it will. This is one of those diamond ones. You would like this, Joan? I think Dave ought to buy you one. And what I suggest is that you just go on the internet and look at what crochet hooks look like, or go in the store and handle them. And my ex-wife ran off too soon because she used to crochet, and I would have made her crochet hooks, but not now.
Great.
And let her husband buy them. Well, other than a couple of dings that I was trying to rush through. And then you can hand sand it, smooth it up, do some stuff. It's no more complicated than that. But straight grain hardwood is the trick.
We start with like a 6-inch or 8-inch piece.
I like to have them 7 inches long if I do. The ones I like the looks of is like that. It's a little bit longer, so you need a longer piece. But again, if you get smaller diameter, so I do like 7, 8 inches long. I think I was shooting for 7 inches on these. This was just stuff that I had, 7 inch. About an inch diameter, somewhere in that range.
I have a yarn inside. I could try it.
You want you crochet, Joe?
I did.
Here, you can have
I
these.
haven't in a while, but I have crocheted.
Here,
Yes.
try these and see if they work.
I don't know if I have any yarn. Okay.
Have Dave put a finish on this.
Well,
I think
yeah.
one of them, one's 5 millimeters and one's 6
Well, I
millimeters.
make them big.
Okay. That's 6. That's about 6.
They look about the same. Thank you, Roland. That's very fine.
I don't know how to use them. I couldn't even start the thread.
Well, I have to
I
get
can't
my mom
thread-
to have to get my mom to
I
start.
can't thread one of those. Any questions? That's as hard as it gets, guys.
No, that was a really nice demonstration, Roland.
Good job.
And I like that you share all your experience with everybody about just do what works best for you.
Yeah.
That there's no wrong and there's no
No,
right
but-
way, and that's really nice to hear.
If you're doing small stuff, I've tried all kinds of things, and I wish I remember where I saw it, where I heard it, who I heard it from, or whatever, but it hit me. That's the way to hold small stuff. It's just not going to split apart on you. Especially after Jerry went through what he went through. And Van had that one go through his cheek.
Yep.
You just got to think about what you're doing.
If you put a couple pieces of masking tape
get that little ball formed tape at your center.
I tried it, I couldn't get it to stay. But I've got an idea.
You can't use the cheap tape.
That's true. But I've got another idea that I didn't have time to work on. If you take the one-way style center that Jet has, Powermatic, with the threaded, with the 3/4 tin, and you take and make a piece that's tapped 3/4 tin and let it stick out just a little bit. Put a couple of set screws in that. You can turn your piece to go down in there and take your set screws and drive it in there and then pull it back, and you can do some, I haven't had a chance to try it, some really, really small diameter stuff.
Put a lot of tension on it.
Right.
Doing that.
And then the other thing is the Jet has the one-way style has a threaded back, which I think is great. You put it in there and then take your piece of threaded rod,
Yeah.
just turn the nut just a little bit and lock that thing in there. It won't pop out on you. It's the only thing about the Nova lathe that I like. I don't know how many are familiar with the Nova lathe. When you turn the tailstock of a Nova lathe, you're turning this big screw that's hollow with a Morse taper. So you're cranking it, the screw's coming out and it's going back and forth. And it looks like pretty kludgy, except you put a center in there, you put a drawbar in that, you turn that, it never locks up. You put this in, put a drawbar, you turn it, you've gone as far as it's going to let you go because it doesn't travel with the screw. That's the only thing I wished he'd have done on the robust lathe. I like the design of the robust lathe. I guess it's hard to tell, but I really do like that design. Except for that, I mean, it's like everybody else's. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it. And they're not expensive. I can't remember what I gave for them. The Carver Supply. And
I'm going to give it a shot.
take one or take two.